Hello, I'm Doug Watches. Welcome to the Locksmith DVD training program. The subject of this course is how to install a deadbolt. Although most entry doors now come with a hole for the deadbolt already drilled, there is still the occasional request to install a deadbolt on a door that does not have the holes drilled. We have also noticed an increase in requests to put deadbolts on interior doors, and in those cases it normally requires drilling the hole for the lock. After completing this course, you should be able to list the basic tools needed to install a lock set or deadbolt, list the basic components of a deadbolt installation kit, list the specifications for a common residential deadbolt, explain the procedure for installing a lock set or deadbolt, describe the issues with installing a deadbolt on a metal door, describe the basic use of the major manufacturing door latch recess tool, describe the basic use of the Porter cable template tool. This course is divided into 5 parts. Part 1 are tools needed to install a deadbolt. Part 2, installing a deadbolt. Part 3, installing a deadbolt on a metal door. Part 4, using the Porter cable template. And Part 5 is review and suggested practice. As far as tools needed to install a deadbolt, we're going to need a good 1/2-inch drill. And along with that, it'd be a good idea to have a smaller drill. It could even be a portable battery-powered drill for your smaller drill. But you could get by with just the big 1/2-inch drill for all the work that you have to do. It's just a little bit nicer for the small holes to have a smaller drill. Other tools that we'll need, we're going to need a hammer. We're going to need some chisels to cut out the recess in the door and also in the door jamb. Could use a couple of screwdrivers, both a straight and a Phillips. The main thing that we're going to need to install these deadbolts is a kit like this. This is a deadbolt installation kit. There's a couple of extra pieces in here that I'll talk about in just a minute. I'm going to put those aside for right now. This is one of the older quick-set installation kits. You can see there is a place in the case for each of the tools. It has instructions on the inside of the cover for how to use the different tools. These older jigs are set for either a 2 3/8 inch or a 5-inch back set. There is a bushing that can be removed to allow for a 2 3/4 inch back set, which we will use in one of our installs later in the course. The kit comes with a standard 2 1/8 inch bit for cross bores. It has a 1-inch bit for edge bores. This tool is used to locate the correct spot for the hole we have to make in the jamb. The kit has 3 different mortise tools. You have to drill the hole in the jamb first, and then use this tool to cut the outline of the mortise. Here is a close-up of one of the mortise tools. The new kits today are a different design and contain a few more pieces, but work the same way as the old kits. The new kits are running around $350. You can often find a good used kit on eBay. If you do an install on a metal covered door, you will need bits made for drilling through metal. We'll do a demo on a metal door in Part 3. I will demonstrate how to use these tools in Part 2 of this course. Now, another tool you might need if you are going to do a new install on a metal door is this clever device made by Major Manufacturing. This is called the pit bowl tool, and it is used to make the recession in the edge of a metal door for the bolt plate. You don't have to have a template for strike and latch plates, but in Part 4 I will demonstrate how to use this Porter cable template. Basic tools that are needed to install a deadbolt would be a 1/2-inch drill, a smaller drill for smaller screws, a hammer, chisels, screwdrivers, and a deadbolt installation kit. Some other tools that you may want to acquire would be the Porter cable plate template and the Major Manufacturer pit bowl latch recess tool for metal doors. Okay, before we actually start installing this deadbolt, I wanted to just review how this goes together and talk about some of the terminology that we're going to be using in the video. This, of course, is the lock cylinder. This is the thumb turn, will be on the inside of the door. If this were a double cylinder deadbolt, we wouldn't have a thumb turn, we would have two locking cylinders, one on each side of the door. This is the deadbolt. This particular deadbolt has a plate that we will secure on the back of the door. It will secure the locking cylinder to the door. Some deadbolts have this, some do not. Some simply secure through the thumb turn. But whatever deadbolts you get, there will be instructions as to how to install that. This is the strike plate that goes on the jamb of the door. We'll be using some rather long screws to secure the strike plate, and we want to hit this long screw actually into the 2x4 that's in the wall. That's what really gives this security, this whole locking apparatus security, is that we have a real long bolt or screw going into a structural member so that this can't be just yanked out of the jamb very simply. Now the way it goes together, we have the tailpiece on the back of the lock cylinder will go through, and this has a top and a bottom, so you want to look to see which side is the top. We'll go through like that. We will also recess for this bolt to fit nice and flush on the edge of the door. Then we will have this plate, we'll secure this, and there'll be two bolts that will go through the plate and secure it. And then over that, the thumb turn is secured with two smaller screws into that plate. So that's how the whole thing goes together. So if I talk about the bolt, I'm talking about this part. If I talk about the strike, then I'll be talking about this and the jamb of the door. The job here to install a deadbolt on this closet door. The owners requested a deadbolt on this door to provide a little bit more security for the closet. There is a safe in the closet, and the owners agreed to let us go ahead and change the combination on that safe and record that also, so you'll see the same safe in a later lesson on changing safe combinations. But that's the job for right now, is to put the deadbolt on this door right here. Now we're going to start by checking to make sure that this door handle set works okay. And then I've also measured the other doors that have deadbolts on them to get the spacing, how far the deadbolt should be above the handle set to match the other doors. And what I measured was 5.5 inches. So the first task here will be to measure up 5.5 inches for where the deadbolt will go. The way we go about this, the way I do it, is I would measure right from the center of this handle set, measure up 5.5 inches and put a mark. Now I did mention that we want to make sure that this handle set works okay, that it closes okay, because we're going to have two locks on this door now, and they both need to work. They both need to work when the door shuts. So it's better to start with and make sure that any locks that are already on the door are working properly. Now we're going to be installing a Schlage deadbolt on this door. It's a single cylinder deadbolt with a thumb turn on the inside of the door. All of your deadbolts, when you buy them, they will have a paper template that you can use. If you do not have a a deadbolt installation kit, and you may not have one right away. They are a couple $100 usually to buy one. So if you don't have one right off and you want to go ahead and do a deadbolt, you can do it by simply using the paper template that comes with the deadbolt set that you buy. You just put that on there. You can tape it down if you need to, mark your spots, and make sure you got them exactly right, and then go ahead and drill your hole using a hole saw, and you can install the deadbolt that way. I think it looks more professional if you have the installation kit, for one, and secondly, it's usually going to make it faster for you. The installation kit calculates that it centers the hole for the edge of the door, and it places the other hole exactly right for the standard offset. So if you can afford to get the kit. Like I say, I think it's faster, plus it looks more professional. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our installation jig on here, and I'm going to just look through this hole on the end, which will be the hole that we're going to drill for our bolt to go in there. And I'm going to line that up in the mark that I made. I'm going to line that up in the center of this hole, and then I'm going to tighten this up. Now you want this flat against the edge of the door, and we want this level. It's a good idea, if you're not sure, to take a level, put it on top of the jig, and just make sure, and I can see that is nice and level. Okay, we want it good and tight, like I said. Now I'm working inside this house, and in a carpeted area here. So I have put down a drop cloth. You want to be professional in all your work and as clean and neat as possible. I want to make sure that this jig doesn't come back and damage this molding that's on the door here. So I have little 2x4s that I will just place at the bottom, just to make sure that cannot close any further than that right there. If I go the other way, which I will in a few moments, I'll go the other way to drill part of the hole. I'll do the same thing against that wall. I'll put a 2x4 spacer there to keep this jig and handle and so on from hitting the wall as I drill the hole. Okay, this is the bit that we'll be using. This is a wood door. So this is the bit that we'll be using out of the kit to drill the hole for the cylinder. And you remember that if it were a metal door that had a metal facing on it, then I would use a hole saw that was designed to cut through lightweight metal. And I just picked these up at the hardware store. Just check and make sure that on the package it says it's good for lightweight metal. And you can get quite a few doors out of just one of those. But because this is a wood door, we will be going with this wood bit. So I put that into my jig and tighten that down good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole. We're going to use this first hole. This is for a standard 2 3/8 inch backset. This other hole here, I haven't used that for many years, but the second hole is for a 5-inch backset. And I have come across those, the 5-inch backset lock sets in the last couple of years. I've come across a few, but I haven't been asked to install any. And so basically, the only hole I ever use is this first hole with the standard 2 3/8 inch backset. Now, as I drill through this, again, I put a small 2x4 so the door won't push back into the casing here and damage anything. And I'm only going to drill about halfway through the door. If I drill all the way through, it will splinter out the other side of the door. And so we're going to drill about halfway through, and then we will drill from the other side to avoid that splintering. Now you want to wear safety glasses. Make sure you got you follow all the safety rules that you would normally follow for using power equipment. These big 1/2-inch drills are very powerful, and you want to get a good grip and a good stance when you start to do this. So here we go. Okay, you want to hold the drill nice and straight as you can, going into that door. The jig helps to line it pretty good, but it's still necessary, to keep that in mind, that you want to keep it just as level as you can. Let's take a look and see how we're doing. Okay, got a ways to go yet. I'm going to go a little further. Now take your time. Take your bit out, check, see how far you are. Some of these doors, you can drill through them very quickly. Others have a little harder inside, it takes longer. You're never sure which one you're going to get. And once you've drilled through it about halfway, especially on an interior door, you want to be careful not to put too much pressure on that. You could actually just push the other part of the door out and just push a big hole out. So, like I said, with a big tool like this, when you're putting lots of pressure on it, the best thing to do is take your time, be cautious. If you damage the door, and you tear the door up, you're probably not going to make any money on that job. In fact, you're probably going to lose money on that job because they're going to want you to replace that door. And if you're working on a $1,000 door, which is the case if you go to many of these custom homes, be extremely careful. You can do those okay. Just the rule is just take your time, common sense, be careful, and you'll do it okay. Okay, so now we're going to go the other way, and I have to get, as I said, I'm going to put a 2x4 spacer down here and turn that so that it blocks that door from going back any further than that. And we drill right here, keep the drill nice and steady. I put the toe of my shoe against the door to help secure it. Start out. This is a variable speed drill, which I suggest you have. So you can start the drill kind of slow as you approach the door with the bit. And that's it, I'm through. I reversed the drill and brought that back out. But we're all the way through. You see my finger sticking through there. Now we don't take the jig off just yet. We go ahead and drill our other hole here. You turn the camera here a little bit so you can see that. We don't pull this jig off. We go ahead and drill the other hole while everything is set. So I'm going to take the one bit out, grab my other bit, which is for the bolt. Chuck that up in there good and tight. I'm going to bring that back around this way so that I can get a little bit better grip on it. I got the spacer in there. I got my foot up against it. Again, I'm going to put the bit right in here in this hole, nice and straight as I can. Again, start it very slowly. Lined up straight down the center of that door. Again, taking our time, keeping our bit nice and straight. It's got a, it's like a paper core that's kind of plugged up our bit here. And that's it. We've drilled that door. So we're going to take the jig off now. Again, you're putting this on and taking this off. You also want to be careful as you can not to scratch the door. You know, the next step is to close the door and use our marker that we have that came with our kit and mark the spot on the casing of the door for the strike. This just goes through here. Go ahead and close the door. Make sure the other lock is locked and the door is fitting about like it would fit normally as it closes. Then we use our marker and push it in, turn a little bit, make sure we get a good mark there. So this has a sharp point on the end of it that will mark the center of the hole for the strike. The next thing we need to do is cut our recess here for where our bolt will fit into the door. I'm not going to be able to videotape this probably on this side over here. There's just no room to get the camera right here on this one. But I will do the same thing for what I'm going to do here. I'll do the same thing over here. Mark our bolt recess. Again, this is out of the kit. You can buy these individually. If you can't not afford to get a whole installation kit, you can pick these up individually. But it just goes right in the hole here. What's important about this, now there's different sizes depending on what you need to do. This is the most common size for residential latch and bolt recesses. We want it straight up and down with the door. We want this nice and straight. Line it up nice and straight. there's a piece here on the end that will fit in the hole to hold it. So that fits in the hole, that holds it. Get it nice and straight up and down. Get a hammer and wrap it good once you're sure you got it straight. You can also hit the top a little bit and the bottom. That's all we need. Okay, now we're going to chisel this out. One thing on when you chisel a door, you never want to chisel it this way, on edge. This door will split very easily. Most doors will. So it's okay to take and use a 3/4 inch chisel and mark the bottom a little bit and mark the top a little bit. If you do decide that you need to make a mark on the edge, do it very, very lightly. Very, very lightly. I don't like to even do it at all. I prefer just to use the marker that came with the kit. The marker with the kit will put a slight cut into the area that you're trying to remove. And so that's all you need normally. Then you can take your chisel and instead of going like this with it so that the bevel is like what you might normally think, you can put it into the hole with the bevel facing the door. And just go in there about 3/16, well, probably 1/8 of an inch. No more than 1/8 of an inch will do it. And then very gently come up with your chisel. Now, if I have to come back and there's something over here I want to get out, I never go towards the edge of this door, ever. I have another chisel here. I keep this chisel razor sharp. And if I need to, I can come back up in here and just with either just hand pressure or by using a hammer, I can remove more of this wood. You see that? But that's the trick, is to have a chisel that's razor sharp. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing down, going down. Again, we're going to put that in there about 1/8 of an inch and gently tap that down. Just wanting to turn on me a little bit there, trying to keep it straight. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and bump this again right here. Give it a good wrap. And it should just break off right there. Okay, and it came right off. And again, you see that's a paper core. So it's this may not be the very best example, but you could come across this. It's the same process if it's wood or paper. Now I need a little bit more out of this top piece here. Like so. Thing to do is to see if our bolt will fit in here. Nice and flush. Okay, now it's not flush. I know you can't probably tell from the angle that the camera is set, but this is not it's not quite deep enough. You want that nice and flush. So Same process, come to the top and the bottom. Good wrap with your chisel and your hammer. So that time I started at the bottom and came up, and now I'm going to start at the top and just bring that right out of there. Being that this is a paper core in here, that works better. Than starting right here. If it's a wood door you can do as I was showing you first, and it'll pop right out nice and smooth. Now, you never want to come down like this very hard. Just don't even risk doing it. It's just not worth the risk. That you'll mess that door up. And you'll end up, the customer may want you to buy them a new door. So it's just not worth the risk. Just take your time. Continue to take it down until your bolt assembly, or if it was a latch, your latch assembly fits in there nice and flush. Okay, we're still not quite far enough in there. At the top, there's a little piece I can see right here that's sticking out. It's too high. Let's take that off. Again, if I need to, I have my razor sharp chisel. If I need to, I can come back with that and clean that up a little bit. I always keep a brand new 3/4 inch chisel, which this first one I was using is 3/4 inch. The other one there's a 5/8. But I always keep a brand new 3/4 inch chisel on my truck, just in case I get in a situation where I need a 3/4 inch razor sharp chisel. I can just pull that out. They're not that much. You know, $7, $8, you can pick one up and have it in your truck. Okay, now on these, this is a Schlage lock set, deadbolt, as I mentioned. And you have to look for where it says top. And the top, of course, goes to the top. You know, that's in there. Nice and flush. Okay, now the next step will be to drill a hole here. Now we could just, some screws that come with the kits are self-tapping, and you can take a chance. I never take a chance on just putting the screw into either wood or, as this is a fiber core inner door, I never take a chance on that. If it's, you know, if it was an expensive door, again, you could split the door. If it's an older door, it's real dried out, it could split very easily. Again, we want this as straight up and down as possible. We want to put a hole, a small pilot hole, right in the center. Of each one of those 2 holes. Doesn't take much. Okay, then you get your screw pack. Okay. Go ahead and tighten those up. So, and we're ready to install our cylinder, our lock cylinder. Okay, I have our lock cylinder. Now, whenever you install a deadbolt, make sure the bolt is in. And then, this is pretty much just true for every brand. The tailpiece, make sure the tailpiece, if you're looking at the front of the lock, you know that then to lock the lock, you have to turn it counterclockwise to bring that lock out. So since this is in, we need to make sure that it's that the tail piece is in the right position to do that. So again, if you were looking at the front of the lock, you would, to get it in the right position for the lock, for it being locked, you would turn it clockwise. If you're looking at the back, then it goes counterclockwise, but kind of just real simple. It's got to go like that to get the lock out, and it's got to go like that to put the lock back in. So since the lock's already in, we want it turned that way as far as we can get it, and then we just put that right in there. Grab our screws here. Now there'll be different assemblies for this type of, depending on what brand you buy and everything else. But there's this particular lock has this is a slag. It has a plate here that goes on the back, and then the thumb set will go over that. So, but you just read the instructions for whatever lock you got, and it will tell you how to do it. It's got to be turned straight up and down there, and this has got to be turned right here, and the bolt should fit right through there. Get them started a few turns by hand. Pretty much a good rule in all your locks that work. Make sure your screws are going in by hand pretty easily. Before you put a power screwdriver on them. Okay, so both of those are started pretty good. I'll grab my little screwdriver. Just snug those up. They don't have to be super tight to where you're going to bend anything. You do want them snug. You want them snug, but you don't want to bend anything. I always check them with regular screwdrivers. Check them by hand, just so I can see, exactly how tight they are. Now that should work. If we put the key in there, that should work. See that? It works for us, okay. There are two very small screws that hold this particular plate on. And that's installed. So all I have to do now is cut the recess for the bolt to go into in the door jamb. We can see that this works okay, both with the thumb turn. We already saw it work with the key. Okay, I believe I got this camera set up to where we can view this. It's kind of a tight fit here, but I'm going to do the best I can. But here's my little mark that I made. And so the first thing that we do, again, keeping the drill as straight as possible, is that we drill a hole for our bolt. We need to be in there for a 1-inch throw, at least far enough for a 1-inch throw on the bolt. So that's far enough for the 1-inch throw on the bolt. The next thing that we'll do is we'll take our plate, our our piece from our jig here to mark our strike plate. Again, it's got this part that fits right in the hole, so it's right centered right. And then we make sure that it's straight up and down. Give it a couple of good raps, like so. You can hit the top and bottom a little bit, like so. Gonna get our chisels here. Again, we're gonna mark this bottom cut, the top cut. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my chisel I told you was a little sharper. Because this wood seems a little harder, and just to make sure. Now, even though, I told you never make a mark on the side like this, but if you are working with real hard wood, you may find that it's safer to go ahead, if you're on the inside, back this way, there's not too much chance to split the door jamb if you're careful. On this front part, there is quite a bit of risk of splitting this. But on the back, if you have to, I'm going to just show you this in case you get in a situation where there's just no mark at all back in there. Go ahead and mark that lightly. So be very, very careful. And as again I showed you, to take your bevel, put your bevel in towards the piece you're working on. So the bevel is towards the working piece, and then very, very gently, after be done about an eighth of an inch is what it takes. Very gently. I've had to reposition myself here to get a better angle on this myself, so I can work here. You see how that came out? Just like that. It's out. Now I still have the bottom one to do yet. It'll just pop out of there. Trying to do this so I don't block the camera and don't mess up the door. So that's it. That's how we do the recess. Now we'll get our strike plate. Okay, now it's not quite long enough. For some reason, we're a bit off on getting that to fit in there. We need to come down like another 1/16 here. Okay, now I'm going to just use my hand pressure on with my sharp chisel here. Just clean this up a little bit right here. Let's try that. Still, it's a little bit off. So we need to clean this out at the top here, probably just a little bit more. I like to have a nice tight fit on the plates. The tighter the fit on the plate, the more professional it looks. And that's the reason they called you out there, is to get a professional looking job. Now that looks real good there. I think by the time we put the screws in that and pull that in, it's going to look real good. Okay, I've got the plate here. I'm over here with my drill, my portable drill, and I'm ready to make a mark here, a pilot hole, with right in the center of our hole here. I'm going to go ahead and mark the top one. Okay, now these are, if this is going to be effective, we need real long screws on this. Putting just short little 3/4 inch screws into this jam is not really going to add any security. We need to go in, and often I'll go in at a slight angle to hit this 2x4 that's back behind here. That's where we're going to get the security, is by getting these long screws into that 2x4. Like so. We're going to, like I said, I put those at a slight angle. If you go straight in with these, you're really not getting enough of the 2x4 to do a lot of good. So now some of these are offset to where the screws are further back. Then with this plate, they're in the center. You can see on this plate, the holes are in the center. On many of the plates, the holes will be offset a little bit more towards the back part of the door to help out with hitting that 2x4, but these are centered, so I go at a little bit of an angle on these. Go ahead and start the other one. That one's torqued pretty tight. We'll see if we can get that in there. So there's a lot of holding power on both of those screws there. Okay, we're going to close this door and see if this works. There it goes. It's locked. Yeah. Please take just a moment to like the video and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.